Okay, episode 3 of the podcast. We have Coach Moran Lonning on today, assistant women's basketball coach at Simpson College. I'm looking at your bio here. Looks like two-time Iowa Conference MVP in 2015 and 2016. Led your team to a regular season title in 2016. Honorable mention All-American as well. Quite the resume, and in your 6th year at Simpson, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And you guys are doing a terrific job there. Off to an 11-1 start this year. Perfect 12-0 season in the COVID season last year. Just kind of talk about your experience so far at Simpson, if you would.
Well, my first year as a coach, I landed this not many people get to become full-time right out of college. I knew while playing in the league that Simpson was the powerhouse, and that's because of Coach Nemeth. It's his 35th season at Simpson, and he's the winningest coach in the conference, number 9 in the nation in all-time wins. He hit his 600th win mark 2 years ago. And so I knew I wanted to learn from the best. I wanted to be a part of a tradition. I loved my time at Luther, but I felt like I learned from Coach Bailey as a player, and now I wanted to learn from someone new, and he's the best. So I was just going to volunteer at first. I moved down to Des Moines with my now fiance, Alex.
Congratulations.
He got into Drake Pharmacy, and so I wanted to be near him, but it worked out that Simpson, the winningest program in our conference, is just 15 miles south of Des Moines. So I interviewed and reached out, and I'm like, I'll even just volunteer. They didn't have a position open for me, so I was waitressing, and I was just gonna immerse myself. And the whole winter of basketball, I was gonna stop waitressing and just kind of live off whatever I made waitressing, and just go for it and learn from him and get to know the players and get to know coaching. And then 3 days before the season started, the assistant got a job with Iowa State, and Coach Nemeth called me while I was at my little waitressing job, and he's like, hey, our assistant left. I want you to think about it, but I'd like you to be the assistant coach. I was like, yes, I'm in. And it was weird at first, though, because they were the same age as me. Like I had teammates still at Luther that same age, so that was a little weird, and they definitely remembered playing against me. So that was a little weird, but I think it was good. I was really lucky to become a full-time assistant at a Division III college in the conference that I wanted to be in, because I played in this league. It was just very perfect timing. And going from not knowing much, but I do think it helped me being in this league. I was able to put scouting reports together a lot easier than it would be if I was in a random league. I think it was awesome as a Division III coach. You do everything, because there's not 5 coaches like at a D1 or D2 program. So I had to learn as I went right away. I was just thrown into the fire, but I don't ever think there's a blueprint or a tutorial on how to coach. So I think it was the best case scenario for me. I think it's been really good with Coach Nemeth. He's got the wisdom and the wins and the experience, and I'm this little psychotic, crazy assistant who was just in the girls' shoes, and I've got so much energy, I don't know what to do with it. So it's been a really good yin and yang with us too.
I think
sorry, I'm just talking.
No, that's perfect. I was just wanted to say that, like, you kind of were taking a chance, on just like, oh, I'll just volunteer, and not worried about the money or what other kind of benefits you could get out of it. You just wanted to do it that badly, and I think when people take chances like that, things will fall into place, if you really just kind of give your all to something, which is really cool. I'm glad it worked out for you that way.
Yeah, I know. You do wonder, like, I've been in like some coaching classes or a coaching clinic or this So You Want to Be a Coach like mentor program. And, you know, they were saying like, oh, you got to be willing to go across the country, live in your car, some really drastic things, which that's fine. People can do that. But I also knew I wanted to be in this league where I already had gained respect from just being a player. I wanted to be close to Alex. And I do think things work out. I mean, I know I'm pretty positive. I see the glass half full. Maybe people don't think it worked out at a small D3 college, but I love what I do. And I think it's been magical, like how it's worked out for me. So you're right. I did take a chance, but like you said, I think the people that do take chances and work hard, things will fall in place. And if you're positive, everything works out.
Yeah. That's awesome. And how did you land at Luther? I mean, so I know you initially out of high school, you went to Northern Iowa, right? And were part of a team there for a few years. But kind of, I don't know, take us through maybe that timeline, I guess.
Yeah, that was my dream. I was pretty tunnel vision on going Division I. What's funny is like I didn't play AAU because I was a 4-sport athlete. I wanted to play softball, and in Iowa, softball's in the summer, so I didn't do AAU. And now I think that's exploded even more than it was when I was in high school. But yeah, my dad kind of just kept telling me like, you can do it, Moran, you can do it. And I went to a couple of their camps. I told them I was like really wanting to walk on. The camps were kind of some tryouts. I did the league that they did in the summer, and eventually before school started, they're like, you can be on the team. I was a walk-on, definitely lowest on the totem pole. I think that's given me a lot of perspective as a coach. I mean, I was still important. I mean, it got to be the point for me personally that I was just too competitive to just keep practicing and not playing. So that's when I ended up transferring to Luther after 3 years at UNI. I redshirted my first year, stayed 2 more years, and luckily I had 2 more years to play at Luther. But I don't regret being there. But now as I'm recruiting girls, I tell them I would have loved to have 4 years at the same school and really made a name in those record books. And I don't regret it. I had to learn a lot. I have good perspective now for girls that maybe don't play a bunch, but we still need to work hard in practice. It all worked out how it was supposed to, but I would have loved to have all 4 years at Luther and just really made a big, deep imprint.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you still did, even just in those couple years. I think a lot of people would say that. So, but before we get too far there, while you were at UNI, you know, being that walk-on, not really getting any minutes, it's not like you were feeling bad for yourself though, right? Like I know the connections that you made there, all those people like absolutely love you because you're just a great teammate, you know? So
yeah.
How do you, as a 18, 19-year-old kid, how do you, adjust your mindset to like, we got to do what's best for the team? I know I'm not playing, but how can I contribute in other ways,
Yeah, I owe basically everything to my dad. He not only was a national champion wrestler at Luther, but also a Hall of Fame coach. Most of his career was at UWL, but also at Central College. So he's just been my ultimate coach my whole life. So as we went into this at UNI, I knew I could always control my energy, my intensity, my effort. I won every running drill. I won every conditioning. All of those like gritty grinder things, I knew I could control. I knew I could win. When it came to the skill, I was definitely behind. And that's when my dad was like, every day you need to be doing extra. And people recognize it, but even though I was still doing that, that didn't mean I deserved to play either. So yes, there were a lot of frustrating moments, but every day, you never knew when you got a chance. You didn't want to miss it. If, let's say, okay, I did get one rep from the practice squad onto the actual top girls squad, I didn't want to miss that. But it definitely was hard to always stay in that mindset of like, oh, here we go again, another 2-hour practice of me just getting beat up on, or me having to be the Southern Illinois shooter. That was my role that day. Well, I needed to do it well. And now I see it even more. It's important. It's really important when girls who are below are pushing the top girls, even at the Division III level. We need to have really competitive practices to prepare for games. So I think I owe it to my dad. I'd call him about every day. I still talk to him every day. I talked to him this morning. I actually made me a little mad this morning because he's challenging me all the time. I was like, God dang, I need to switch my mindset when I'm talking to Blake because I'm not in a good mood right now. But it's good. I owe it all to my dad. But I'm someone who wants to get better all the time too. So I'll have those moments, even at UNI, I had those moments where you feel bad for yourself, but always trying to just bounce back, find ways to stay positive. I remember he had me keep a journal during my last year there. It was really hard. Before bed every night, I had to write 3 positive things that happened that day. Even if it was like, I have a good family, not even to do with basketball, just 3 positive things. So my dad got me through it, but, and still today, like I said, I still have that hunger and drive, and I take everything he says to heart, and I want to make him proud.
I mean, a special guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know him quite as well as most people, but it's pretty clear to see that he's really important to a lot of people. So very fortunate for you. But I think something you said there, you can always put in the extra work. It's a tough realization when you kind of start to understand as an athlete that even though you're putting in all the work plus some, that doesn't mean you're going to get the opportunity that others get. I think that, like, kind of switching gears here, but I mean, that's a really tough realization for a lot of kids. So you kind of explained it, I think, as best you could, but how do you live with that? You know what I mean? How do you kind of keep battling through when it seems like you're doing as much as you possibly can and you're not seeing any reward for it?
Yeah. Well, I transferred. that was my fix, but I think it's still, there were times where I was struggling, like, well, do I even love basketball anymore? Should I just do track at UNI? I was a better runner than I was a basketball player. I was pretty running there. I'm like, should I just do track? And I know there's all this talk about the transfer portal, and we don't need to get into that, but I think I gave it a fair shot. I was there for 3 years. I was there longer than I was at Luther. So I think I pushed through, but knowing, I was a walk-on. It wasn't that I was recruited with this class and I needed to like push my way through or wait my turn. I was a walk-on. I was definitely lowest on the totem pole. But in a situation, let's say it's like at Luther, there were girls that maybe were upperclassmen that didn't play, but I think there could be a lot you take away from that. We had a senior last year here at Simpson who she worked super hard. She put in all the extra work that we talk about outside of practice all summer long. She's a 5'5" little shooting guard. And in our championship game, she didn't get in. But leading up to that run, there was a game versus Central where we had a girl out with COVID and maybe even some foul trouble, whatever it was. This senior shooting guard comes in and hits 3 threes. Amazing. Gives me the goosebumps because She put herself in that position to shine when her team needed her. Without her, we would have lost that game and snapped a 38-game win streak against Central and not gone undefeated in the conference. And she was definitely a huge part of that championship team. Let's say she doesn't do that. She still brought so much energy to practice. She worked hard every day in practice. I hope she still would feel like a champion, because she was. Of every single day, she brought that. She never felt sorry. I mean, we never saw her feel sorry for herself. She was always bringing, I'm sure she had tough conversations with her parents. It's hard. But now she's thriving. I think she learned a lot from that. From just, you just keep working hard. And when it's your opportunity, when you get one, if you get one, you take it. But, and then putting the team first. I think that's a huge lesson, that it's hard to not think about yourself. But when you think about others, in most situations, you're going to make yourself better too.
Yeah, and that experience that you had at Northern Iowa is certainly benefiting you now, right? I mean, no question about it. And I mean, to be selfless enough to just keep going, you know, because everybody in the locker room understands that you're as important to this team as anybody else. You know, people outside might not understand how that works, but that's what would keep me going, you know, as my teammates understanding when you're in that situation that you're just as important.
And you got to put yourself to be in your own mind, but then also in your teammates' mind. It's not just, you can't sit around pouting and then think you're important. This was a tough conversation. One of my first years at UNI, I remember calling my dad and being like, you know, I'd have confidence in myself if the coaches had confidence in me. There were a couple of teammates of mine who were underclassmen who got chance after chance. They were on scholarship. They should. They want them to. They're investing money in them. They should get chance after chance. They're, no, keep shooting, keep doing this, keep doing that. And I was like, you know, I'd have confidence too if the coaches had confidence in me. And my dad said, they can't have confidence in you until you have confidence in you. And that's really hard. But it's all mental. And even as a teammate that maybe you don't play, you have to be the one first to realize that you're important before anyone else does. Even if it is just the energy in the locker room. Not just, that's a big part of it. Or, you know, our senior that I was talking about last year, she led a lot of team Bible studies, or she was the one kind of more the spiritual side of, or like relationship side. Like, you can decide how important you are. And I think that's also hard, because it's easy to have a pity party. At UNI, I remember one Bible study, we were talking about a verse, talking about how the body is all different parts, but it makes up one body. And I thought it'd be fun to make everyone on our team a body part. And I explained why, and most were funny.
Yeah.
I didn't do one for myself. And the girls were like, well, what's Moran? And they decided that I was the heart.
That's cool.
I was the heart, and I didn't even play.
That's cool.
So I think even though I didn't play, you can still impact a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, going to the baseball side of things, like I remember some of the guys we played with, like, who didn't really get any innings, but either they were the best foul ball chaser, or like they were the best at keeping charts, or the best at some like random thing, you know, that didn't impact the game directly. But I can't imagine what it would have been like without those guys.
Yeah.
You know?
I think your senior year was magical. You had a huge group of seniors that, some didn't play. Some were fighting each other for spots, or some lost a spot to an underclassman. But your championship run, you would have never known. Everyone was so into it. Everyone was so team first, it was really, really awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. That's awesome stuff. I do kind of want to take a step back, I guess, a little bit. I know you're a very family oriented person. I don't know, just kind of maybe give us some insight as to how you talked about your dad, but how the rest of your family kind of impacts you on a daily basis.
That's a good question. So Luther's in my hometown, Decorah. So when I transferred home. I didn't live at home. Kind of felt like it at times because my dad would drop off my younger sister for me to babysit sometimes. But my dad worked at Luther. He got to rebound for me during the day and stuff. My junior year, it was awesome. My family was at every game. It was like so sweet. I have an older brother, boy-girl twin, younger siblings, and then we adopted 2 girls. Summer is now a sophomore. Shanae is a 4th grader, and we adopted both of them when they were just 9 days old, so it feels like they've been just a part of my life forever. But yeah, so it was great my junior year. So my first year at Luther, my junior year, I would go home every Sunday. I'd go to church with them, then come home, eat, get laundry done. I'd see them weekly. And then my senior year, they moved to New Jersey. A couple reasons. One, they wanted to help the boy-girl twins pursue the comedy and singing songwriting world. And New York's way too expensive to be out there right out of high school. And then the other reason was my 2 sisters that we adopted are Black, and they were like 99% of the Black population in Decorah.
Yeah, right.
So they wanted more diversity, and they did a lot of research on different school districts and stuff, on wanting it to be diverse in all aspects, not just color, but also socioeconomic status. And they did a great job. And Maplewood, New Jersey is awesome. And that was really sad when they left, and I didn't realize it was so sad. At first I was like, God, I'm just like crying all the time. What's going on with me? And I'm like, I think every fall I get sad, and I know that's why. But I know it was the best thing that they could have done. My sisters are thriving. My brother and sister are kicking ass. My sister's a comedian and just grinding out there. They couldn't have done it if my parents didn't move. I mean, my dad had his PhD, my mom had her master's. They're now living like in poverty, kind of.
Yeah, right.
Like just definitely as you get older, usually you get a nicer house and less to do, and no, they're just still working because they have 4th grader and a sophomore, but they're doing awesome. And I love that we are all so much more educated now on the racial discrimination that still happens, and even like LGBTQ. My sister Gara is really supportive of all LGBTQ, but also feel strongly about it themselves too. They prefer to go by they, them. Actually just got top surgery too. But I think all of that just shows how loving my family is.
That's amazing. Like it gives me goosebumps too. I mean, but that's who you are too, right? It's giving yourself up basically for the people you love, and that's, oh boy, I'm getting a little emotional, but
me too.
I mean, that's unheard of. Like, how many people do that, Not many.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I'm so glad they did. Like I mean, we all live in a bubble, everyone does. And it's not anyone's fault, but even at Luther, we didn't know what was going on. You don't know what's going on, and until you have and it shouldn't take this, but until I had Black sisters, I didn't educate myself. I mean, over COVID, I think a lot of people educated themselves because of George Floyd. And again, you hate to have someone have to die because of that, but hopefully we just keep moving in the right direction. I try to still wear my Black Lives Matter shirt on most game days. I love that I get to display that to everyone, and I hope it does make people have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good it's a good transition. I wanted to talk a little bit about, encouraging people in sports, especially young women, to express themselves, right? Like not being afraid to just be who they are, or whether it's on the court or just, daily life. So it's a good transition. I wanted to ask you about some of the work you've done in Indianola and in Decorah. I know you've had some camps there.
Mm-hmm.
Like the importance of women in sports in general, but getting into the youth game and really trying to make an impact there. Can you just kind of talk about what you're doing with that?
Yeah, again, I think my dad had a big part of this passion, but did it in a way like that there was no question that I wouldn't beat the boys in middle school, or that I wouldn't go out for flag football and be the only girl, or those type of things. I think, again, my parents just like really allowed us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main reason. But then as I started learning more and more, women are still like so far away from equality. And I took this class maybe 2 years ago, and we really dove into like how families raise their girls. And there was this study that just hit me like a lightning bolt. And it talked about, they went to this playground and they tracked how far away the little boys would get from their parents and the little girls would get from their parents while at this playground. They also tracked what the parents were saying to the little boys and what they'd say to the little girls. To the little boys, they would say, "Oh, come on, one more, higher, higher, you can get that." To the little girls, they would say, "No, be careful, not too much, slow down." And the tracking, it was like double or triple the distance away from their parents were the little boys compared to the little girls. And so what we're saying, again, it's no one's fault because this is how we were all raised. And when you're not aware of things, you don't know that you need to change it. But right after that, I've always been loud and confident, and I'm lucky. There's a lot of girls that aren't, and a lot of girls didn't have Greg Lonning as their dad. So after that, I was like over the top. I'm like telling little girls, be loud, be confident, like answer questions in class, like be tougher than the boys. Like even my players, yes, talk in class, be loud, show that you like have a voice. So I think all of us need to make sure we're going out of our way to uplift girls even more, not put boys down, but
Right.
make sure we're like pushing girls out of their comfort. I think it's so important when moms are the coaches of teams. Girls always have dads. Dads rock, but you think, oh, so at what age do girls stop playing sports? There's tons of statistics showing girls drop out of sports so much more than boys. And then on top of that, there hasn't been enough years to even show what girls can do yet. The WNBA is only 25 years old. It's a baby. I'm one of the only, there's only a few generations that have had the WNBA to look at. Then you get into, we can't look at it because it's not on TV. So there's still just so many different layers of this that I just like to bring awareness through, a lot of times through young girls' voices. I like making videos of them talking about it because girls are ready. I interviewed these 4th graders, 3rd graders, a couple months ago, and I was asking them questions like, do you think girls should be president? They're like, yeah, but boys haven't given us a chance yet. What? We could be awesome. Like, I'm confident. I asked 1 to 10, how confident are you? 10. I can do anything. They're ready, but somewhere it's getting diminished. Somewhere they're getting pushed down. I don't know if it's in the middle school or high school years where social media gets involved, or but they're ready. They're girls are ready. And so I just love promoting girls.
Yeah, and that one hits close to home for me too. My mom actually coached like my baseball traveling teams from 11U to 13.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
And all the while she was building up a national championship program in volleyball at Central Lakes. Like, she's been coaching for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I remember maybe it was earlier this year, she's like, we still have so far to go. Like, she's won 3 natties, you know, and coaching for 30 years. And she's like, she's maybe one of 2 female head coaches at the national tournament in volleyball. In a women's sport.
In a women's sport. Right.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, I was kind of lucky. It didn't really seem to me like there's an issue, because I was like, my mom is a freaking goddess, you know. She's like a queen. So I never really looked at it that way until obviously I got a little bit older, and started to see just kind of how the world works, which in this instance was not in a good way. So I'm a big proponent of all the things you just said, you know. And I think it's important that, like, I've started watching more women's basketball, you know, because I actually enjoy it. I really do. You know, there's some really, really high level athletes. Like, I was watching UConn versus South Carolina. I mean, that's the best of the best. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I really do enjoy watching your team too, because you guys can shoot, you play fast, play really good defense. It's, you know, I've tried to make more of an investment that way. And certainly it's kind of been centered around you and your team. So that's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's unfortunate that you have to really go out of your way to become a fan, but you do, because me and our other assistant, Claire Johnson, she always is like, okay, we have top 25 matchup, and you have to buy SEC Plus to watch it. Meanwhile, you have some terrible D1. There's another D1 men's game on TV. So, but I think, like you said, if maybe our generation does need to be the one to really be pushing and searching for it and putting it out there more to help others jump on. But yeah, the media controls so much. So
yeah, well, and in addition to that, like, social media is such a great tool. Like, I started following Kara Lawson, Don Staley, like all these, and these are Black head coaches too. Like, there's all their like knowledge and wisdom is literally at our fingertips, you know. But we'd rather go follow, like, I'm not going to trash any social media pages, but like, why not see what they have to say, you know? So I just had to throw that in there. But,
that's good.
So shifting gears, 6 years is kind of a long time to be in one place. So just kind of talk about, you know, since you've arrived at Simpson, I guess, you know, obviously they have a pretty good history of winning in women's basketball, but continuing to build on that foundation, like what's the culture like there, you know?
My first year was actually the first and only year Simpson women's basketball did not make the conference tournament, which means they were the bottom 2 of the conference. So I think the timing of it, that was really hard, going from Luther. We had just won a championship, and then coming to Simpson, where that was their struggle year. And Coach Nemeth had taken on the role of athletic director for a couple of years leading up to that. And I don't know, I wasn't here. So when I got here, it was like, okay, I think I need to take some things that I learned even from you and I that I took to Luther and then now I brought to Simpson. It's the extra work outside of practice. And there was a really big freshman class. And I remember I was like, if I could break through to these girls, they could get something going here. And I remember writing on the board, well, I also was our strength coach for a little bit. I got certified to be our strength coach because Simpson didn't have one at the time. And also I wanted them to have a female. And I just felt like I needed to get them to embrace the grind and get them loving the tedious work. And I think I could do that because I like it. And also I can make it fun. And I was just in their shoes. So I think it just was like the right thing to do. So I was meeting with them about strength or something. I wrote on the board, what you give to the game gives back to you. And I love that because it really does. If you put in all of those hours by yourself or with a partner or whatever outside of practice, it's going to give back to you. You're going to have success and feel the drug of success on the court. Like you're going to hit that game winner. You're going to be a champion. And it's like you're putting in the work to get it back. What you give to this beautiful game, it'll come back to you. So I think a lot, like the first year, I mean, I wrote out every drill that I've ever done and I put them in these daily workouts because they just want to be told what to do. They wanted to work hard. They just didn't know how. So I had day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. And I think we still use them. So I think that was the biggest thing is just getting, especially just a nice little group to just really embrace the grind. And we had girls stay over the summer and work hard all summer. And now that's not staying over summer. You don't have to stay over summer, but we had like 10 girls here this summer playing, shooting, lifting. I mean, at the Division III level, I don't think that's very common.
Because they just want to be there, right? Like they want to keep this thing going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I actually had that written down at like, what makes your players want to stay? Like you look at players like Jenna Taylor, Cameron Kincaid, Claire Johnson staying around as a coach. I mean, what makes people want to stay there?
I think they've become addicted to the grind and addicted to wanting to win. And then also we have fun while we do it. Coach Nemeth, before every game, writes on the board, play hard, have fun. He's done that his whole career for the last 35 years. And he does. He really wants them to have fun. And when you work hard and achieve something together, that's fun. Even if it's a really intense game, that's fun. So I think our culture is real. We're gritty grinders and we embrace that. And it does become fun, but then also they have a blast together. Most of them all live together. All summer long. They're working, but they're also getting to enjoy the summers. I think you become addicted to the grind.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a pretty simple formula, but it seems to work if you really believe in it, which I'm a big believer in that too. That's really cool. It is really cool to see the success and then people wanting to hang on to that as long as they possibly can. It's really special. So okay, this one I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. 3 words that describe Coach Lonning.
3 words.
Hyphenated words they're okay.
The word energy. That's one word. I think woo, winning people over. Winning over others. WOO, yeah.
Winning over others.
Winning over others. And unapologetic.
That's a powerful word right there.
I think in terms of just, I can't not be myself. So
yeah, get out of the way.
I'll relate to people, I'll win them over, but in the end, I can't stay seated during things. I can't not yell. I can't not high five and hit people on the back. And I can't chill. So, and I can't not do something halfway. I have to be completely all in, and that's just me.
Well, that's awesome. That's I love it. Really powerful stuff there. Really, seriously. I just have one last question. It's, what is your ultimate purpose?
Ooh.
So, I mean, it's obviously quite broad.
Yeah. Probably, I don't want this to be cliche, but I do think it is to empower girls and women. And I think that can encompass Black lives, LGBTQ. But I think that is my main purpose. And it's great to be able to do it through a sport. And I know, like, some people could look at me and be like, you're at a Division III tiny ass college in a conference in Iowa. No one cares about you. I'm like, yeah, well, the people around me care about me, and I care about them. I don't care if anyone cares about me. I love being able to just impact and help and empower my little team and all the girls in Indianola. Or I think it's really, I don't know, it's really special because I make it special. And everyone can have that mindset, just like we were talking about before. Like, I love what I do. I don't care how much money I make. I don't care how many people I'm impacting, but who's ever with me right now, I'm going to do everything I can to make them achieve what they want to achieve things that they didn't know they wanted to achieve. And give them confidence. And I'd say empowering girls and women.
Yeah, that's really good. It's not so much about what the stage is or what stage you're on. It's more about, your presence and what you make of it, right? And clearly you've done a really nice job with that, and it is really fun to watch you guys and follow along. And you actually have a game this evening, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have shoot around in 40 minutes?
Yep.
So thanks for taking 50 minutes or so out of your morning. I really do appreciate it. But
I think, Blake, what you're doing is cool too. Why not make a podcast? Why not do these extra things that can not only help others but help you? Like, you're learning as you're doing this too.
100%.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I really do appreciate your perspective. I was really excited about this one, even though we kind of set it up last minute, but you definitely have some really good insight, and just continue to make an impact. It's really special.
Thank you, Blake. And we'll just keep on talking because we're good friends. So
Yeah.
maybe see you Sunday when we play some basketball.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Again, thank you, and good luck tonight. Thank you, though, for your time. All right.
Real storm, baby.
Yeah. We'll talk soon. See ya.
Bye.